Hello Ice and Fire Nerds, this is Chris and this is going to be a Game of Thrones Season 7 filming news update with a lot of spoilers coming out of Watchers on the Wall as well as winteriscoming.net as well as some Spanish news sources that are taking these pictures and videos, and I will leave the source links in the description below so you can check it out for yourself. We have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of updates, and a lot of pretty damn juicy news. So again, spoiler warning, if you don't want to know anything about Season 7, go check out some other videos on the channel. A Dragon Raised by Wolves Part 3 is out, by the way. If you hadn't seen that yet, check that out. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump right in and get into the juicy stuff. And also really quickly before we get started, I wanted to thank Bolo7678 for sending me this cool Stark Direwolf statue. So I really appreciate that, Bolo, and as well as Michelle, who sent me a couple gifts earlier on. And I won't reveal what that is because one of those gifts was sent to me to do as a giveaway, and that will be our next giveaway, so I don't want to give that away quite yet. So thanks again, guys, I really appreciate it. And of course, getting surprise gifts in the mail is always fun. But anyway, let's jump right in and talk about Season 7 spoilers and news. A lot of updates, a lot of photos and videos coming out on a daily basis now. Anyway, the first ones here are just a few pictures of what's going to be Dragonstone. You can see clearly this is in a location that looks like a Dragonstone style location as far as being on the sea. The castle looks very much like Dragonstone. You can see here the set builders have built these rocks to kind of go on and make it look like it was kind of carved out of a rock. Dragonstone has a lot of carvings, gargoyles, and dragons, etc. carved right out of the stone. So I believe this is going to confirm that Daenerys will take back her ancestral home of Dragonstone. And at the moment we do have a vacancy in Storm's End and Dragonstone. We don't really know what's going on in the Stormlands at all as far as who's ruling there. But we'll also be talking about how that's going to change in just a few minutes. Also, to support the Dragonstone news, we see Missandei and Grey Worm, Tyrion, and Daenerys herself, as well as Varys. So obviously they're all together here on Dragonstone after she's landed now in Westeros. This may or may not be before she goes to King's Landing, because we know with other filming news as far as the Dragon Pits that she will likely go ahead and take King's Landing pretty quick this season. So I don't think Euron is going to be that big of a deal. We have a picture to go along with this. In the same filming location, we see Jon and Davos walking along, and we know this is the same location because we see Dothraki guards here. And at this point on Dragonstone, she wouldn't have any other type of guard, so this is the first time you've seen Dothraki in Westeros, and of course Jon and Davos being there hints strongly that Dany and Jon are in the same location. And they are. Now before we move on, really quickly, this picture was really cool. We see Jon and Davos in this picture here, and they look to be like they're scared shitless of something. And obviously them being here in the same location with Tyrion and the Dothraki warriors, etc. And the speculation is, after reading the article, and I tend to agree with it, that Jon and Davos have seen a dragon for the first time, because everybody else is just standing around like, what? It's just Drogon. And Jon and Davos are like, holy shit, it's a fucking dragon. Bruh. And Jon and Davos are like, holy shit, it's a fucking dragon. Now, of course, they've heard about it and they knew they were real in the past, but until you actually see one, it's just a damn fairy tale. So that's pretty damn cool for Jon to see a dragon, and you wonder at this point if he knows who he actually is. And also, I think this could parallel later on down the road when Dany heads up north, or they meet in the middle with this, big battle for the dawn with the White Walkers. She may have heard about him at this point from Jon or something like that, but until she sees one, it's still a fucking fairy tale. And then we come to the scene with Davos on the beach here, and apparently this is King's Landing. In my last little filming news video, I talked about this may be Dragonstone because that was a lot of speculation. But now with the new footage we have, we see gold cloaks, so this has to be King's Landing. So what we're seeing here is Davos coming up on shore apparently, and we have, that's right, Gendry in the scene. Gendry is with Davos, and what looks to be happening here is gold cloaks are coming up, questioning Davos. He lifts up the tarp on the boat and shows them there's nothing wrong. Looks like to be they're going to leave him alone and go about their business. And then we see Tyrion walk up, and the gold cloaks turn around and follow Tyrion back to the boat, and Davos tries to stop them in some way. Perhaps he's trying to bribe them or give them something. But as the gold cloaks turn around and talk to Davos, we see Gendry pull out a warhammer and take those guys out. And then of course we see Davos, Gendry, and Tyrion try to push the boat as if they're going to get the hell up out of there. So what the hell is going on in this scene? The first thing I question is, why in the hell was Tyrion there, and why would he risk himself going to King's Landing when he's the most famous dwarf in the world? And of course Cersei still wants his head on a spike. But then I was watching and saw Tyrion walk down to the boat. He looked pretty confident. He looked like he had a little swag in his step. He wasn't really trying to hide who he was. But of course it looks like the gold cloaks may recognize him. Maybe this is after Dany already has King's Landing and the gold cloaks are now hers, and Tyrion therefore doesn't have to hide his face because Cersei is already deposed at this point. So at first I thought maybe this is after she's taken King's Landing and this is Davos coming in to meet with her. But now that I look at it, with Gendry being involved, Here's what I think's going on in this scene. I think that Jon has decided at this point in this scene that he needs to rally the other houses, and of course Davos, being the one who rescued Gendry, knows that he is Robert's son, and there essentially is no House Baratheon right now, and therefore no Stormlands being in the picture. Jon, being the king in the north, knowing the true threat that's coming, needs to rally all the houses that he can and all the regions that he can, including the Stormlands. Davos, knowing who Gendry is, I think that Gendry has made it back to King's Landing this entire time. Joffrey's long gone, Tommen's long gone, nobody knows what he looks like anyway, nobody would know who he is, so I think he made it to King's Landing, and this is Davos' attempt under Jon's orders to go to King's Landing and pull Gendry out of there and be recognized as the heir to the Baratheon name to bring the Stormlands and the Baratheons back into the fold. Now, if Dany was already in charge of King's Landing at this point and they had already met, there wouldn't be no sneaking around. So apparently in this scene, Cersei's still in power. She's still the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms, and that would be the reason Davos and them sneak into the city to get Gendry to reestablish House Baratheon. Obviously, Tyrion is already with him and coming back to the boat, so I do question why Tyrion would risk himself going to get Gendry, but then again, it could be part of the deal that Jon and Dany strike up as far as getting everybody together for the war to come, and Tyrion perhaps wants to show he's damn serious about it, so he goes along with Davos to King's Landing, knowing he's a wanted man, and he would definitely be a dead man if caught, with Cersei still being in power. He was probably the one hiding under the tarp in the first place, gets seen by the City Watch, they turn around to try to stop him, to take him to Cersei, and that's when Gendry pulls out his warhammer. And yes, this is great that he has a fucking warhammer. This is a shout out to his dad, Robert Baratheon. He used a warhammer in battle as opposed to a sword, so this is Gendry recognizing who he is. He has been told by Melisandre. This brings him back into the fold, and I think he will now take over House Baratheon, which is a good thing for the wars to come. And of course, last but not least, we see photos and video here of Jon and Daenerys meeting for the first time ever. This looks to be on Dragonstone. The video is clear here. This is Jon walking down some stairs here, looking kind of regal like a king in the north, where he meets Daenerys Stormborn for the first time. So Jon will go south, head to Dragonstone after he's heard of her arrival, to go meet with her and tell her what the hell is going on. He perhaps leaves Sansa as Lady of Winterfell in charge while he's gone, or maybe he's already denounced his kingship as far as being king in the north and named Sansa queen in the north. He don't really want to rule anyway. He is more worried about the realm and safety of his family with the White Walkers and all that going on, and the real threat coming up north, which of course is what makes him a good leader in the first place. So anyway guys, I'll leave it right there, short and sweet. We're going to probably continue to see pictures and video come out of these locations in the next several weeks or months for that matter, so I'll continue to do little short updates if necessary. And also, before I go, really quickly, I want to give a shout out to all my Patreons. So a huge shout out to Halse Griffin, Lala Gig, Marilyn Bentley, John Carey, K Soze 1024, Jessica McCorder, Lori Perry, Terry Becker, Mark Joseph, aka The Snow in Winterfell, Annie Smith, Nicole Cron, Joey White, Kisa Powell, Red River Giant, Kat, Catherine Bassett, Pri Figueredo, Nizar Raje, Lance Kozak, Rick Kenko, Darren Resinger, Lawrence Franznick, Nancy Bruno, Tamika, Steve McKenna, Joe Gaylord, Steiner V, Taylor Royal, Carrie Nevis, Demetrius, Joanne Long, Jamal, Carol Funk, Jose Calvo, Alec, Sean Shiflett, Just Being Nosy, Crawdad CT, Stephen Robinson, Lilia Dalmangus, Tim Shields, Cecilia Lenny, Sheila Falvo, Alicia Frank, Brianna Fisher, Amanda Lander, Jennifer Wendell, Daniel Ketchum, Luke Drysdale, The Needle, Hubert Ulber, Darlene Llewellyn, Ashley Shaw, Raquel, Michelle Everly, as well as my newest Patreons, James Grimshaw, Dennis Carana, Betsy Lice, Bill, Kimberly Genova, Robert Thatcher, Andreas Oss, Stacy Fournette, and Maria Starr. So again, thank you so much to you guys on Patreon. I really appreciate the support. You have no idea how it helps right now, because YouTube doesn't pay all the bills. Anyway guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you excited about season 7 yet? It's gonna be a while, but there's gonna be a lot of good speculation in between now and then. So again, thank you so much to everyone out there in YouTube land. I really appreciate the support. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you